Welcome everyone to another live career Q&A show with me, Heather Austin. I'm so excited to see you guys in the chat already commenting and letting us know where you are joining from. If we have never met before, I'm Heather Austin, and on this channel, I help professionals just like you build a personal brand so that you can land your dream job and grow in a field you love. And today, we are talking all about COVID-19 and a career change. So if you've been thinking about a career change because of the pandemic, or if you just feel stuck because of the pandemic and you're not moving forward in your career like you want to, this is the live career Q&A show for you. Remember, we always take questions at the end of the content that we share, so be sure to pop your questions into the chat. My team is here, they're moderating the chat, and they are also making sure that your questions get answered and put in front of me. Our live stream chat moves so fast that I normally can't keep up with you guys, so they are here to help me today. Again, we have some fantastic content to share with you today. So much fun information to cover. Make sure you have a notepad. Make sure you have your favorite pen or however you like to take notes. Take screenshots of slides that I share today because we have a lot to cover. Now, if you have not yet said hello in the chat, make sure you do. I can see a lot of you guys are already here. Let us know just what your name is and where are you joining us from today. So happy to see you. Kimberly, you were the first one here. Awesome. Love to have you here. Charlie Rose, hello. I know who you are. Welcome. John is here from London. Hello. Garrett, so glad to have you. I know Garrett. He's one of my students as well. I'll get to any questions that you guys have. Vanessa, hello. Vanessa's a student. Stephanie is a student. Oh, I'm so excited to see you guys here. Steve, hello from Canada. Ramona is here from Chicago. I would love to say hello and interact with all of you guys, but we have so much content to cover. We are going to jump right into it. I'm going to ask you guys a question, but before I ask you a question, again, if you've ever been to one of my live streams before, you know that I ask a lot of questions, so I expect you to participate as well. Before we jump into the questions and all the good content, I need to share this with you. We are hosting a special encore live resume writing workshop. So we hosted a workshop a couple weeks ago. If you were not there, it was amazing. We actually had, I think when it was all said and done, over 3,000 people had viewed the workshop, and we had hundreds of questions in the chat. We were online for 2 hours. We couldn't even keep up with all the questions. So my team and I decided, let's do this again. We're going to host one more workshop this month. Now, this is a workshop that I only host once or twice a year. I normally do it in the spring, and then I normally do it in the fall. If you have not yet seen the workshop, or if you were there the first time and you didn't get your question answered, it was 2 hours of full content all about how to write a resume that lands you better interviews and more job offers. I'm going to share with you really quickly the registration page. My team will also pop this registration page into the chat for you. So make sure you go to the registration page, professораustin.com/liveclass, I believe is the link. We have a few links going to this page. Click on the Save Your Seat button, and you can enter your name and your email address, and you will actually get notified when we're live and all the good stuff that comes with attending the workshop. Now, you can kind of see at a glance what we are covering during this workshop: how to quickly customize your resume, how to write attention-grabbing resume statements or resume summaries, how to build an ATS-compliant resume, and how to quickly update your resume. Now, this workshop is one of my favorites to host. I do this, again, only a couple times a year live. So if you were not there with us, or if you were there and your question wasn't answered, make sure you jump on and register for that event. Again, my team is popping that into the chat. It's next Tuesday. This will probably be the last time that I hold this live resume writing masterclass until the fall. So probably October sometime. So make sure you get signed up for that class. Now, I want to know in the chat, Tell me, are you considering a career change because of the coronavirus? So I asked my Facebook group this question a couple days ago, and here are a couple of the responses. And type into the chat, and I'll share these with you while you guys are typing in. So Regina says, yes, I want to do something that I actually like. She says, not just something keep paying the bills. Janie popped in and says, yes, I have to, as my job will no longer be in existence due to the pandemic. I love that she mentioned it that way. Nanette says, yes, I'm a teacher. This is too much for me. And Nanette, I know, because I have 4 children who are all doing homeschool, and it's crazy business. Let me just tell you, even though I'm a teacher, I teach older people, not kids. Sharon says, yes, I just went back to my office last week, and I'm more determined than ever to make my side gig profitable. So let me know in the chat, have you guys considered a career change because of the coronavirus? Now, today's live stream is going to be dedicated to anyone looking to make a career change or thinking about a career change. However, the content that I'm sharing is so good that you could actually use the content if you're just job searching. So the tools and the resources, and by the way, I'm going to be sharing a lot of links with you guys today and a lot of really good, solid action steps that you can walk away with today to help you with your job search or your career change. So make sure that you are taking notes and tuning in. Okay, let me see what you guys have said. Cindy says, and the chat's kind of moving fast, but I'll try and keep up with you guys. Let's see. Cindy says, yes, mostly I lost my employment and I'm tired of working for someone else. Yeah, Cindy, I totally get that. Vicky, hello from Arizona. I've decided to leave teaching. Okay, there's a lot of teachers in here that are done too. They're done with this. We are very underpaid and overworked here in Arizona. Let's see. I was trying to career change before the pandemic, so slightly different sit for me. Yes, I totally understand, Charlotte. So we're gonna jump into like all the good, awesome, juicy details to help you guys actually switch careers, or even if you're just generally job searching. So what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to share with you guys 2 simple tips, and then I'm going to actually share with you who's hiring. We're going to talk about a career change after COVID, and then of course, how this coronavirus thing is affecting your career, and what you can do to move forward from this. So just kind of moving on, what's next? Now, the 2 simple tips I'm going to share with you guys, pay attention, because tip number 1 is coming up right now, and then we'll jump into who's hiring. So tip number 1, you need to ask yourself these important questions. Now, my team in just a second here, they're going to be popping a bunch of links into the chat for you, and these are free resources that you have access to. So make sure you take a look at those free resources as we get into this. So the very first question that you need to ask yourself is, why are you looking to do the career change? So it's the big why. So you have to evaluate where you are in your career, and if really, if you're in an okay place and this career change is not immediate for you, I would recommend hanging in there and looking at other options, or taking time to really make that decision. Now, however, if you're like some of my members in my private Facebook group, or some of my clients and my students, you might be ready to get out now. You might be ready to leave, or maybe your current position has been eliminated because of the pandemic. Maybe your position is in no longer need. So again, this is where we need to switch or think about that career change. Now, I want you to keep in mind though, when you're thinking about your why, is it a career change that you need? So do you need to switch careers totally, or is it just a job change? Okay, so those are 2 different things. A career change is where you're switching and moving into a whole new industry. A job change is you're in the same industry, but you're just switching jobs. Now, here's another thing to think about. You also have the opportunity to do a partial career change. So maybe you're going to switch into a career that's a lateral move rather than a totally new industry. One more thing to keep in mind also before we jump into the second question you need to be asking yourself is, unemployment rates are super high right now. So you'll have a lot of competition. If you are switching careers, you're going to be up against other people that have almost exactly what the company is looking for. So you'll have to find some ways to really stand out. And I'm going to share some simple tips with you guys as we go through today's live stream. Now, the second question you need to ask yourself is what are you passionate about? Okay, so what is it that you like to do? What are some things that other people tell you that you do well? Because the last thing you want to do is move from one career to another. And if you don't like that career, you're going to be stuck there for a while. And that's just not fun. That's not fun at all. My number one goal is to see you in a job that you're loving, that you're thriving, that you're super excited to get out of bed in the morning, all that good stuff, right? So you have to think about what you are passionate about. Now, my team's going to give you guys a link because I want to share with you a quick resource to find out what is it that you like to do. So I hear this a lot, like I get clients and students that are just like, I don't know what I want to do. So I'm going to share a simple resource with you to help you get started. So I want you to go to 16personalities.com. Now, don't go take this test yet, okay? If you take this test now, you're going to miss out on some really, really, really good stuff coming your way in just a second. But you'll go to 16personalities.com. My team will pop that link for you into the chat. It's a free resource. You take a quick quiz. It's 7 to 12 minutes. It's going to tell you what your personality type is. Now, for those of you who already know, I would love to know in the chat. Let me know in the chat what your personality type is. I'm an ESFJ. I know that's actually probably one of the more common personality types. But again, jump into the chat and tell me what it is that you are. But once you get to this site, it's going to give you your personality type. Once you get your personality type, I have another resource that I want you to go to, and I'm going to share that as well. And that is to analyze your what your personality is. So let me get myself back up here really quick so you can see me. So once you get that personality type, yes, and Spencer says Myers-Briggs. It's the exact same thing. Myers-Briggs actually, I think it's like $50 to take that test. If you don't want to pay for that, this is a really close representation. And I've done this test with a lot of different people, and it really comes up pretty accurate. So you're going to answer the questions as openly, as honestly as possible. But once you get your test result, go to truity.com. I love truity.com. And again, my team will pop that into the chat box because you can click on personality type. So you'll notice the link personality types. You can scroll down to your personality type. So I'm just going to click on ESFJ. And then that takes me to, we'll stay here. This is ESTJ. This is not what I am, but I want to show you just really quickly. You'll jump over to careers on that page and then scroll down a little bit. And this is going to show you the top careers for you. Okay. And then it's also going to show you what careers you should avoid. Okay. So make sure you evaluate that list before you even start thinking about what career is it that I want to go into. Okay. So again, 16personalities.com. Don't do the test right now. Wait until we're finished here today because you'll get distracted and you're going to miss out on some really good stuff that I have planned for you. And then once you get your result, go to truity.com. I love that resource because it gives you a really good overview of what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. So let's jump into the third question. What is the job outlook? So again, the job outlook for a lot of you has probably changed, right? So you were in a position and maybe you've been furloughed or you've been laid off or whatever that might be. The job outlook's going to change. And hey, this job outlook could look one way next month and in another way in 6 months. So you have to really take this with a grain of salt. You have to make sure that you are really evaluating the future of that industry. I want to show you one other resource. So my team's going to give you some really good another link that will really help you. I like to go to the U.S. Department of Labor. So they have a resource there called the Occupational Outlook Handbook. So I'm going to just really quickly show you that. If you're on the Occupational Outlook Handbook, you can actually search for a specific and you can't see this because my face is in the way. Let me turn this off. But you can search for like a certain position. So let's say I wanted to search for accountant, okay, and see what an accountant looks like here. It's going to give me my results for accountant. I'm going to jump over to the page here, and then that's going to actually show me what is the outlook for an accountant. Now, keep in mind, and I can go to the job outlook. This tells me like what is the work environment, what does the pay look like, what's what can I expect if I go into this industry. keep in mind this information on this resource. Again, my team will have that in the chat for you. And if you're listening to this on the replay, we'll put all this into the comments below this video. So as you look at this, keep in mind, this is 2019 data, okay? So it is not yet, this is like pre-pandemic. Now, post-pandemic is going to look a little bit different, and even like post-pandemic 1, 2, 3 years down the line might look a little bit different. But this gives you a really, really, really good place to start. Now, what I want to know from you, have you ever, give me a yes or a no in the chat below or in the comments below, have you ever used any of these resources before? So personality16personalities.com, have you ever used truity.com? Have you ever used the US Department of Labor just to research a position? And it looks like a lot of you guys have kind of shared with us what your personality types are. Drew says ENFJ, awesome. Ujima says INFJ, awesome. Kristen, INFJ. Erica, INTJ, so good. Spencer, ENFJ. There's so many awesome different personality types in here, and these are actually some of my favorite resources to use to kind of give you a head start on where you're going. So let me see who's used these resources. BP, hello, how are you? Says yes. We have another yes. Kristen says no. Okay, Kristen, so this will be good information for you. Angela says yes. Donna, hello, Donna, says the US Labor. Yep, all of these are really good resources to help you get on track with where you want to be in your career, whether you've been laid off, whether you want to switch careers, or maybe you're working and you just want a different job. All these resources are really, really fantastic. Now, I want to share the second tip with you really quickly here before we jump into who's hiring. And I also want to tell you, if you have questions, put a question mark in front of your question. My team's going to get that in front of me so that I can answer those at the end of the live stream. And really quickly, before we jump into tip number 2, if you have not yet registered yet for our Encore free training next week, make sure you do that. You're going to click on Save Your Seat Now. That's going to save your seat for this event. This is an Encore event. The first event that we held for this a couple weeks ago was so big, and there were so many questions that we just couldn't get to. So we are going to do this all over again. Again, professoraustin.com/live class to register for that. So let's jump into the second tip here. So the second tip, if you are looking for a career change right now or after everything dies down or wherever you are, and let me tell you, this also works for job seekers, just in general. You need to create a plan, okay? So what I've mentioned here is a 30-day, a 60-day, and a 90-day plan. Now, I'm going to tell you what to do exactly in each of these steps as we go through this process, okay? So I'll tell you exactly what to do 30 days out, 60 days out, and 90 days out. Now, keep in mind, before I share what you're going to do during your plan, keep in mind that this can be a 30-day plan altogether. So let's say 90 days is too far out for you and you have like the time, the energy, the resources to devote to your job search. What you want to do is now switch it to like 7 days, you're going to do this, 14 days, you'll do this, and then in 30 days, you'll do this. So you can condense that. You can condense it to however you want, but just keep in mind that this is kind of like a plan that works well for others in terms of the general timeline. So let's look at what we're going to do for your 30-day plan. So I'm going to share with you guys some steps. What I would recommend that you do is take a screenshot when I get to the very last step in that plan so that you have it, you can print it off, you can refer to it, however you want to do this, okay? And now, let me also mention this too, because we are going to be covering quite a bit here before I take questions and before I tell you who's hiring now. We do cover all of these steps in detail in my World Class Career Academy program. Now, we did open up the doors for a couple of days here. If you are ready to just jump in and get started, and you really need that help right now, I highly recommend jumping into that program. We start group coaching in June. I only do group coaching for this program. It's a personalized coaching sessions a couple times a year. So the spring and the fall, that's all we do for this program in terms of the group coaching. So if you want even more detailed feedback on all of these steps, make sure you take a look at that. My team will also pop the link to that into the chat. It's such a great way if you need more assistance than what I'm sharing with you today. However, today is amazing, and I know you'll at least get something out of today. So 30-day plan, we're going to start with your initial job search. So this is where you figured out, okay, what positions am I going to target? What industries am I going to look at? This really helps you start honing in on those companies and those positions, okay? This also allows you to evaluate your skill set. So thinking about, is there additional training that I'm going to need to get into this position, okay? So the very first thing is we're just starting the initial job search. We're not going to get super complicated with it yet. We're just getting it started. The next thing you need to do, and I'll tell you guys when to take a screenshot, okay? Next thing you want to do is evaluate your transferable skills. So what are transferable skills? And I would love to know in the chat from you, what transferable skills do you have? So just give me any transferable skill. It can be anything. I want everyone to get a good idea of what those are. Transferable skills are basically anything that you can apply to one job and then apply to another job. So it's a skill that you have that you're doing right now, but could also work in another position. So while you guys are listing your transferable skills, a couple really popular ones would be like, and these are more soft skills like dependability, teamwork, organization, adaptability, leadership, technology literacy, like all those things are considered transferable skills. So these are things that you can apply in one job and apply in another, even if it's a totally different industry. So let me kind of see what you guys have said here. And by the way, pop questions in if you have them. My team's taking questions, so we can get to those at the end of this. Let's see. Erica says Excel. Yeah, that's a good one. Spencer, crisis management. So good. Someone said risk assessment. Yeah, these are all things that you can, if you're evaluating your new position, how does it apply? Okay. Angela, hello, says event production, problem solving, and public speaking. Oh, those are all so good. Julie says relationship management, dependability. Oh, awesome. These are awesome. I wish I could read all of these out. Yes, so you guys have a good understanding of what a transferable skill is. That's what you're going to do in your first 30 days is really evaluate that. Number 3 here, set your weekly job search goals. Now, keep in mind, I said you could turn this could be your 7-day plan. It does not need to be 30 days. It could be a 7-day plan. But any way you look at it, this is what you're going to do during that first initial phase. Okay, so you're going to set your weekly job search goals. How much time can you devote to job searching? Can you put an hour in a day? Can you put 2 hours in a day? Maybe you're just going to say, okay, I'm going to make sure I get 5 hours in a week. What you feed will flourish. What you neglect will die. If you neglect your job search, it is going to die. It will crumble. You will not be successful. You have to feed this sucker, right? You have to give it some life, breathe some life into it in order for it to go anywhere. So again, you're going to set your weekly job search goals. Number 4 is start joining professional organizations. I know you guys have heard me say this before, but look for organizations in the new industry. And hey, if you're not even in an organization and you're not switching careers and you're just job searching, you need to start finding professional organizations in that industry and start networking with individuals, which is the 5th step on this. Start reaching out to your network. So when I say start reaching out, I'm talking about your closest friends and family, okay? I'm talking about sending text messages, sending emails, reaching out to them on social media, really looking at who out there can I just really quickly send a quick message to, let them know that I'm looking for a new job and ask them, do you know anyone, or maybe are you hiring in your current organization? Can you put me in touch with someone that you might know? You are going to be surprised as you start reaching out how people can really start helping you and really get you in front of the right people, and they are going to be that assistance for you. Okay, next thing here on our 30-day plan is to clean up your social profiles. Believe it or not, hiring officials, they go and they look and see what you're doing on social media. So again, and I'm sure for most of us, right, we don't have anything crazy. I mean, it's not like I'm going out partying with friends, right, and taking pictures of it. And I know you guys aren't. So anything that might be damaging to your reputation, get rid of it on your social profile, even if it's, I mentioned the partying thing, right? But what really it would be like, have you made any comments like that have turned people off in terms of like politics? Are you getting into like debates about things that if they see that conversation, they're going to say, oh, I'm not sure if we want this person, if we want to work with this person. So you need to be likable, and your social media profiles need to present you in a likable format. Okay. So again, this is what you're going to do in your initial phase. Last step. Actually, no, one more step in the initial phase. Take a screenshot of this page, dust off career documents. Now, I'm not talking about getting in and start editing them yet. This is going to be our next phase, but dust them off, open them up, read them, look at how long it's been since you updated everything. In fact, I would love to know in the chat, how long has it been? Most of you, my regular viewers, I know you guys are doing this regularly because I'm online with you quite often. But if you're new here, and even my regular listeners and my clients and my students, feel free to pop into the chat. When was the last time you updated your career documents? And by career documents, I'm talking about your resume, your cover letter, and your LinkedIn profile. Okay. Take a screenshot of this because this is your 30-day plan. Again, it could be your 7-day plan. Also, keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, if you want even more detailed guidance on all of these steps, we are starting our group coaching in June. So just a couple weeks here for World Class Career Academy. My team has already popped the link in. Maybe they can do it again for you. We'll also pop the link below this video for you to take a look at the program. We are running our spring enrollment sort of thing. It's really not an enrollment period, but where you can get into this program for $200 off. We are never going to have the program price this low again. We only do this twice a year. So we already have a huge group of people joining us in June. If you want to be part of them for the personalized group coaching to learn all about this, take a look at that. Now let's jump into our 60-day plan. You guys ready for the 60-day plan? Okay, 60-day plan. Maintain your weekly job search goals. So again, I'm going to go through these really quickly before I tell you who's hiring and then I answer your questions. Really quickly on the 60-day plan, you're just going to keep going. So if you devoted 1 hour a day, keep at that 1 hour a day. Okay, don't stop on that. Next part, tailor your career documents. Now I'm going to show you in the 90-day plan how to actually get a system where you're like tailoring like that and it's super fast and you're not spending hours and hours and doing that, but you're going to start tailoring your documents. So you're going to start looking at what are the keywords in the job postings, how can I implement those into my career documents, resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile. Next thing, don't let up on networking. So this is where I see a lot of people, they've reached out to others, they're not getting the results they want with the networking and they give up. And that's the last thing you can do is to give up. Now the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, they reported, and experts and even myself, I say this, they reported that 70% of jobs are hired based on referrals, okay? But we actually think it's a little bit higher. We think it's closer to like 80%. So again, do not let up on your networking strategies. This is where you got to get a little bit more aggressive, ask for informational interviews, keep reaching out on LinkedIn, keep following up with those people, all that good stuff that goes with networking. Next thing is get clear about your career story. So by now, you should know your career story. Now, I have 2 really good resources for you. So 2 really good videos. My team will pop those into the chat. One is all about your elevator pitch, and one is all about how to introduce yourself in an interview, okay? These will help you kind of develop your career story. But what I mean by this is you need to be able to, in 30 seconds, tell someone what your story is. So where are you now? How did you get there? What are your goals? How does this new opportunity relate to where you're going? Though you got to be able to, if someone asks you, tell me about yourself, or what do you do, or whatever the question is, you got to be able to like tell them pretty quickly. You don't want to be like, like you got to get it out there so that they know exactly who you are, what you can help them with, and how that works into your future and their future. So again, those two resources, don't do that yet, but when you're done here today, watch both of those videos because they will really help you, and take notes during those and get straight with your career story. So again, that's tip number 4. Tip number 5 on this is start practicing. Take a screenshot now. This is the screenshot time for you, the 60-day plan. This is it. Start practicing and preparing for interviews. So this is where, again, you're going to be rehearsing those popular interview questions. You're going to be making sure you have good stories to go along with questions that you might be asked or with accomplishments that you might have. Now, I know this is a lot of information, guys. I feel like I'm like regurgitating like all this stuff, but I want to get it out there because I know you can watch the replay of this video. And I know for so many of you, this is going to help you get past what's going on right now. Either if you want a career change, you're stuck, you're job searching, you've been furloughed, you've been laid off, whatever it is, this will definitely help you. So again, take a screenshot right here of the 60-day plan, and let's move in to the 90-day plan. Okay, 90-day plan before we jump into hiring who's hiring. Develop a system for quickly updating your career document. So let me show you really quickly what I mean by developing a system. So here's a quick screenshot. This is the top half of a resume. What I would do if I was developing a system is I would have the key areas on my resume that I know I'm going to switch out if I come up on a position and they're listing a job title in a certain way, or they're listing tasks in a certain way. I need to know how to get that quickly into my resume, right? So the very first thing I'm going to change is the title. If they want a customer success manager, great. I have that right there at the top. However, what if they want a customer service manager? I'm going to change that really quickly, okay? Now, the next thing under there, those are my 3 key skills. They might have in their job posting something totally different. I'm going to switch those 3 key skills out with the 3 key skills that they are looking for. Then the next thing I'm going to do in my summary here is I'm going to switch out action verbs that they are looking for. Do they want someone that's reliable? Do they want someone that's energetic? And do they want someone that's resourceful? If not, I better change those to what they want, okay? Super quick resume summary. The next part on your resume you can change, and this is just a really quick overview of just a few things you can change. Is your resume competencies. So on your resume, you're going to have a competencies section, okay? Notice all these competencies in here. Well, if they're not looking for someone with revenue growth or direct sales, and they're looking for someone with something else, I better change my revenue growth and direct sales to what it is they're looking for. So again, you're just going to pull out a couple of these and pop in their new keywords or their keyword phrases that they are looking for and get that resume sent off, okay? As quickly as possible. Again, that's developing a system for quickly updating your career documents. Now, step number 2 is to continue networking. So notice, you guys, I have mentioned networking in every single step of this process, whether you're doing it in 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, it does not matter. You are always networking. Remember, 70% of jobs are hired based on referral. That number is actually probably higher, closer to 80%, but that's a report we know from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. You are going to continue your networking strategies. Do not give up. Continue to follow up. By now, hopefully you're going on interviews, okay? And by now, you may have had a rejection or 2. Ask the hiring officials, hey, can you tell me about my performance on the interview? Can you tell me what could I have done better? Can you tell me what skill was I missing? Can you give me feedback? Some people will, and they're great about it, and some people won't, but you have to keep networking and don't stop. Request more informational interviews, request Zoom calls, all that good stuff. And again, remember, you guys, I teach all of these steps in detail inside World Class Career Academy. We are starting group coaching in June. If you want to jump in and join us, we have the program running right now for $200 off. It will never be this low again. June and in the fall, we do coaching for this program. That's it. So I put my all into it to make sure you guys get results. Okay, third step, follow up where necessary. If you're interviewing, make sure that you're sending thank you notes, make sure you're following up if you haven't heard from a job in a week or 2 weeks, all that good stuff. And by the way, all the templates that you guys need for this job search, and if you're making a career change, I want to say like 12 to 15 templates just for, actually probably more, and I add new ones all the time, just for your job search, that you can say, ooh, I need to follow up on this job. Let me go grab this template. It's pre-written. It's like professionally done. Like we're talking, this is like primo supremo templates. And you take that and you send it off. I've had people say, I hadn't heard back from a job in 3 weeks. I used your template and I sent that follow-up message and they got the job offer. And they were like so surprised that the company was even still thinking about them 3 weeks later. So again, this stuff is there for you to help you move forward faster. Number 4, evaluate what's working and what's not. So let's say you are going on you are going on interviews and you're just not seeing results, or maybe no one's calling you based on your resume, or you're not getting that extra attention from your networking efforts, right? You have to evaluate, maybe I need to change something in my resume. Maybe my cover letter story just does not work. Maybe my LinkedIn profile is so lousy that I need to change some things up. So this is where you really think about, if you're not seeing that results within this 90-day period, you really need to start looking at what else can you do to switch gears. Maybe you need to pivot a little bit. Of course, number 5, be fully prepared for your job interviews. This is where you should have it down. You should feel confident going into your interviews. You should be, and I'm not saying 100% confident, because anyone, no matter what, you still have nerves during an interview, but you should be kind of like a wheel that has been greased up and you're ready for the ride, right? So be fully prepared for your job interviews. And then the last step for our 90-day plan is to keep the momentum going. So again, this is where I see a lot of job seekers, they get to this 90-day period and they're like, oh, I'm just not seeing the results that I want. And it's almost like they give up. And sometimes, let me tell you, sometimes you do have to take a step back. And I get that. You have to take a step back, maybe take a day off or 2 days or the weekend. But you have to keep that momentum going, because you never know, there might be a shift just right around the corner waiting for you, okay? So I don't know if you guys have heard this statement, that there is a breakdown before a breakthrough, okay? So if you're breaking down and you're like, I can't do this anymore, you are probably at the heels of a breakthrough. So keep that momentum going. Now take a screenshot of this right now. This is our 90-day plan. We are going to jump into industries that are hiring. I want to make sure I share that with you guys so that you have an idea. And I still have so much to cover, but I do want to get to questions too. So I might kind of cut today's the information short a little bit, just to make sure we cover everything. Again, remember, we cover all of this in detail in World Class Career Academy. If you want to grab that now and join us for June coaching, make sure you do that. If at the very least, and if the program's not right for you right now, that's totally fine. I totally get that. At least register for that resume writing training right here. Our last event this month that we did was over 2 hours. This event, we had so many questions coming in. This event is free. It's, we're really going to be teaching you how to write a resume that lands you more interviews and better job offers. So at the very least, make sure you register for that training. Okay. And again, questions, pop those in. I would love to know. Anyone that has questions, give us a question mark. We'll get to those. Let me know, what is your biggest takeaway so far? So I've shared with you a couple tips, again, if you are thinking about a career change. But the funny thing is these tips actually apply to job seekers all over. So I shared with you questions to ask yourself, and then we shared the 30, 60, and 90-day plan. What is the best, what is your biggest takeaway? So pop that into the chat. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is. While you guys are sharing that, I am going to share with you, let me pop this slide up really quickly. I'm going to share with you 9 of the industries in highest demand, okay? Okay, 9 industries in the highest demand right now. This is up to the minute information. Okay, first one is technology. So when we think about technology companies, A lot of them are in high demand because of better technology, or we're needing these companies a lot more than ever before. Now, I see these types of companies, and I'm going to give you exact examples of companies that are hiring. Okay, exact examples of companies that are hiring. These companies are a lot of times like tech support. And I'll even share with you like exact examples of positions that you can apply for. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to actually apply for them, so you guys know where to go from here. Okay, technology is a big one. Another big one is teleworking communication. So obviously more and more people are working from home. Who knows how long this is going to last? This could be something that lasts a year, 2 years, 6 months. We don't know, but we are adopting new strategies of doing things. So I think I see moving forward, this is going to be something that lasts longer than we anticipated. So teleworking is a big thing. You've heard things about Zoom and Asana. So Zoom's stocks kind of went through the roof, right, the other week. So think about teleworking communications industry. Grocery industry, of course, is big. This one has been one that's been on high demand ever since the economic crisis happened, or the COVID crisis, whatever you want to call it. These are a great place if you want to find some quick work with some income until things kind of blow over. Pharmacy is a big one. Again, you have companies like CVS and Walgreens that are hiring, but they're not just hiring for like working inside the pharmacy. There's a lot of different positions within that industry. Retail. Now, I want to mention on here online retail specifically, but I put retail because there's still a lot of retail stores that are open for business. But online retail is growing like crazy. So again, that's another industry you could look at. Shipping, of course, is a big one. And again, I'm going to share with you guys companies in each of these areas. Finance is a big one. We've seen, remote banking services kind of move forward with all of this, and financial institutions, they're in big demand right now. Healthcare, of course. Now, this one's a little bit iffy, even though it is still one of the 9 industries, because it covers such a broad spectrum. But, there are certain doctors and nurses and medical assistants and that kind of thing that they are seeing layoffs in this industry, but there's other areas within the healthcare field that can be met. And then, of course, education, which is one of my specialties. And I'll share with you guys a couple things there. Now, let's talk really quickly about the technology sector and who is hiring and kind of the number of positions. And then I'm going to share with you guys in just a second here how to find these positions and how to apply for them. So when we look at technology, you have companies like Cisco, Apple, eBay, DocuSign, HP, and Pinterest. These are just a few, you guys. There are thousands of these technology companies hiring. Okay, these are just a few that are reporting some bigger numbers, and in all sorts of roles, not just like a customer service role or not just a tech support role, but there are a lot of different avenues that you could pursue with these companies. Grocery, let's talk about Albertsons. They're hiring 50,000 individuals. Kroger, again, has 20,000. I put Chipotle Mexican Grill on here, even though it's sort of like a fast food place, because this shows you that even that fast food industry, they are hiring. And this isn't just for like front end workers. This is for back end, like corporate positions. There's a lot of different areas that you could explore here. Whole Foods again, and then natural grocers. That's just the grocery. Shipping, I put Instacart in shipping because even though it's sort of like delivery, but I wanted to put that up there because 300,000 positions, that might be slowing down as things start reopening, but still they have a demand. FedEx, UPS, and then the company called Shipped. They are hiring for thousands of positions. Retail. So in the retail space, and again, a lot of this could be considered online retail as well. So you have Amazon, they're continuing to hire, and I think they'll continue to hire. Like they might get to a point with some of their temporary workers that, they might not hire as many of those anymore, but they're still hiring. Walmart, of course, CVS, Dollar General, and then Walgreens. I didn't want to jump into that one yet. Those are hiring, and those are all in big demand right now. And then finance, the finance industry, if you have any sort of specialized skill, which I know a lot of you do in any of these areas, don't just think of the front end work. Again, think of back end work that they might need help with, customer service, tech support. Again, like I mentioned, anything virtual. A lot of these companies are hiring a lot of virtual workers. So you have Fidelity, Capital One, Wells Fargo, Fannie Mae, and Waddle and Reed. So you guys, there's so many opportunities presenting themselves right now. Education is a big one. This one's growing. I think this one's going to grow for a while. Me being a mom of 4 and a college professor, I also taught online with an online university for years and years and years, and I can see the benefit of this. Now, for younger kids, I still think that one-on-one connection with their teacher is super important, but you'll see these opportunities are just continuing to grow and grow and grow. Now, I would love to know in the chat, while I share with you guys, I want to share with you guys how to actually go about applying for these jobs. I would love to know in the chat if you've explored any of these options. So again, I shared 9 industries that are hiring, and I also shared a couple of companies that are hiring within those industries. I'd love to know in the chat, or if you're watching this on the replay, let me know in the comments below if you've explored any of these options before. And there's quite a few. And listen, this is just based on research that I have done, and colleagues that I've spoken to, and things where we kind of work together to look at what's working right now for our clients and our students. These are some of the bigger hitters. I'm not even talking about like the smaller companies or like your local institutions. You have to find almost the door into an industry that is really picking up on hiring and that has a decent job outlook. Okay, we talked a little bit about the job outlook and how you could find that, but again, this post-pandemic is going to look a little bit different. Okay, let's see. Let me show you. I want to show you really quickly what you're going to do if you find a company that you want to work for. Okay, so if you find a company that you're like, okay, I want to go here. I want to go explore their options. Go to their company website. So first of all, this is just an example of, let's see, this one's Walmart. I'm just going to go to Walmart. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom of their page, so walmart.com, and I'm going to select careers. Basic as that. That's going to give me all their career options. But I don't want you to stop there. You're not just going to go to Walmart. You are going to also jump over to LinkedIn. Hello, and this is why we love LinkedIn. You're going to jump over to LinkedIn and go to their business page. And again, you can see let's see it. I think it's called company/Walmart. So it's linkedin.com/company and then the name. Or just go to their search bar and type Walmart, okay? And the Walmart website's gonna pop up, and then you'll just select jobs. This is the cool thing about using this method as well, is you'll be able to see the jobs that they've listed through LinkedIn, but you can also see who works there that you know, or who do you have a connection with? Okay, this is a fantastic time to start reaching out and networking with those people and being like, hey, Bobby, Joe, I noticed that you work for Walmart or whatever company it is. Hey, would you mind putting in a good recommendation for me? I just applied for this position. Or maybe you haven't yet applied, or maybe you're trying to find the hiring official, which you can normally find through the jobs page and the listing. It will a lot of times show you who the recruiter is, or who the hiring official is, or the hiring manager for that position. You can reach out that way and say, hey, so-and-so, I just applied for this job. Just wanted to make sure you got my resume. And if there's anything else that you need from me, I'm super excited about this opportunity. I'm super excited. Mention something about the company that you really like. So there's a lot of different ways you could go about this. Let me just show you really quickly one more, and then we'll take questions. Would be Amazon. So here's Amazon's website. Go to amazon.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, click on careers. Now you might see whatever company you choose, it might be careers, job opportunities, employment opportunities, whatever. They might have it worded something different, but you'll find it there at the bottom for most part. And then go over to their LinkedIn page again. So this is Amazon's LinkedIn page. I can go to Amazon. Notice how I can see how many people I know that work there. I can actually see other highlights within that within the company. So again, this is such a fantastic way to start. Actually, now you know the jobs. Let's start reaching out to the people that are going to be doing the hiring for those positions, letting them know you've applied, following up with them, all that good stuff. So I want to know, again, we covered so much information here today, you guys. I want to answer your questions here in just a second, and I'll go through and do that. Let me know. Now we're kind of complete with everything. Give me in the chat, what is your biggest takeaway today? So tell me what your biggest takeaway is. And then also pop your question in. And if you want even more detailed guidance on this whole entire process, again, we shared a lot with you today. If you want even more detailed information, make sure you take a look at World Class Career Academy. We start group coaching in June. Such a fantastic way if you want to move forward faster than you've moved forward before. If you need that little extra help with our personalized group coaching, you also have access to my entire online course library. Well, you're actually going to be learning before we meet and while we meet. So such a fantastic way to get the results that you want. And I'll be sharing more about this at our live resume workshop next week. I'm going to share, I have dozens and dozens of stories from people that the program has worked for and that they've seen significant results. I'll share all that next week. So at least at the very bare minimum, make sure you join us at next week's resume writing class, how to land more interviews and better job offers. Okay, let me jump in and see. I know the chat has been moving super quick. And we are going to... okay, awesome. I'm just reading comments and notes from my team. So we are going to jump in and answer questions. Okay, Cindy got a question in right up front. And again, if you guys have any questions, now is a good time to get it answered. So don't be shy, pop it into the chat. We'll make sure that we get your questions answered. So Cindy, do you provide a PowerPoint that we could have after the meeting? So Cindy, I actually don't provide PowerPoints of my content. And the reason why is because it's considered like intellectual property. And I put a lot of time and effort into these PowerPoints. So when I develop a message or something for you, I spend quite a bit of time kind of tailoring the content. So it's very tailored to my audience and their needs. I don't do that. I do provide in my courses, I do provide some of the PowerPoints and some of the resources inside the programs. So I have a lot of students that will access them that way. Kimberly, hello, how are you? I hope you're holding up well. Kimberly says, I saw a few postings for hospitality and this surprised me because I thought that the hospitality was hit hard. Do you have any insights into this? What do you think? I would be curious to know where the posting came from. So you got to be really careful about postings that are not factual or that might not be totally legit. So I would really make sure that you look at that first. Also, if you were already in the hospitality industry, I think that you can, if you're already there and that's a skill that you already have, you can still explore those options. But be careful with that because you want to make sure, like if you're not in that industry, there's other people that are applying that just got laid off from that industry. So you have to think about all those workers that might not be working now. So that's something I would kind of be a little bit wary of. Okay, Kristen, good question though, Kimberly. How do you search for the different industry to find out which one I want to do? Oh, good. Okay, so Kristen, what I would do, so if we go back to, I shared that resource, truity.com. That's actually one of my favorite resources to look at your personality type and the careers that it's recommending for you. That's where I like to go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and I like to do the job outlook and it shows me all the certain things that I might be good at or that job entails. And then you could go out and just search in terms of like, you could go to your job boards and see what's happening. You could go to your company websites and see what's happening. But again, that's not something you want to stick with. Like you're not going to get as much results like going to random job boards and applying for positions. And you guys I've told you that before. You need to make sure you're approaching it on a person level. Like who can you get in touch with that has the authority to do hiring, or that knows, like, do you know someone in your network that is currently connected to that company? So, but job boards are a great way to start in terms of research, but you got to take it even one step further from that. Good question. Okay. VJ says, looking for internship online. How can I get an internship? I'm a student of third mechanical engineering. Okay, VJ, what I'd recommend for you is just targeting specific companies. Again, doing your research on who's hiring, what positions are they hiring for. If you are currently a student and you're looking for an internship, I would reach out to your career counselors at your college or your university or your school and ask them what relationships do they have with businesses. The great thing about an internship is a lot of times you can get hired on full-time when the internship is finished, and it's fantastic work experience. Good question. Okay, Mirvek says, what would you know, what would be equivalent to the site? Oh, okay. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, yes, that is a U.S. site. So he's or she, I don't know if you're a he or a she, and maybe my team can do a quick research on this while we're talking and pop a link into the chat if they find something. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, they're wondering what is an equivalent in the U.K. I don't know what that equivalent is. We'll see if we can do some research and find something like that for you. This is my go-to resource for basically anything I need to know about a job, because they try and report factual information. So I would say you can still use that site if you're in another country, because it kind of gives you an idea of what the trends are, what's happening, and then adjust from there. But we'll see if we can do some research for you on that, because I'm not sure what the UK equivalent is. Okay, Angela, what is your advice for someone with little education and background, mainly in arts, with a little customer service, trying to enter a corporate world? Ooh, that sounds interesting, Angela. I think for someone in your situation, what I would recommend doing is looking at, because when you say the corporate world's so ginormous. There's so many different avenues that you could actually explore there. I think you got to get really specific on what that means to you. So what positions would you like to do in the corporate world? Once you get specific on that, I think that's going to propel your job search forward a little bit faster. If you're broad and you're general and you're kind of just applying for everything, what's going to happen is when anyone sees your resume, or they hear about you, or they learn about you, they're going to be like, oh, this person really can't help me with my problems, because they're not even sure what problems they can help me solve. So you got to get really specific with what that means to you. And I would say, do that personality test, do a little bit of research on what sounds intriguing to you, and then target that way. Good question, though. Okay, Kristen, hello. So glad you made it, Kristen. Kristen says, I've gotten frustrated after I've had 3 interviews now for positions that got canceled. Yes, okay, that's happening a little bit right now. Also, several employers that I would be interested in are not actively hiring. What advice do you have? I would say, Kristen, you need to keep at it. I would also say follow up, because as things start reopening and as we go back to normal, whatever that normal might be, you're going to see that that hiring is going to pick back up. If not, and if you're still like, you know what, I gotta get a job, I need a paycheck, I would recommend going back and looking at those 9 industries, looking at positions specifically in those industries or companies. So really, you could target an industry or a company and finding out, is there something there that I could be doing right now that could hold me over until until that hiring picks back up. So here's the interesting thing too. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Walmart, they're hiring all their thousands of employees right now. They're actually trying to streamline the hiring process so that you get in the door within 24 hours. Okay. And that's not just frontline workers. Like this is like their back end corporate positions. This is like all those positions you think virtual remote work, like all of that is seeing an uptick in a lot of different areas. So I would highly recommend focusing on those areas. Okay, is it okay to fall back on jobs that you have to most experience in when the jobs you want to move into would become available? Okay, let me read that again. Is it okay to fall back on jobs? Okay, so you're talking about falling back on something where you have more experience, and then moving into something else in December. You know what? Here's the thing. You have to do what works best for you. I have some people that I work with that they're like, hey, I've got like 4, 5, 6 months of savings. I'm okay, like really putting in my all to my job search and then trying to switch careers. And I have some people that are like, I need a new job like right now. So if you're finding yourself in that situation, you have to really evaluate what your budget is. Again, we don't want to have a ton of gaps on your resume or in your employment. So make sure you try and fill those with something. Okay. But you have to look at what's best for your current situation. Okay, Julie, hello. If you have a lot of experience, do you put all in LinkedIn when still in the research stage rather than tailored? Ooh, good question. Okay, what I would recommend, Julie, so if we're specifically talking about LinkedIn, again, LinkedIn in your resume is going to be the same. You really don't want to go back more than like 10 to 15 years. Keep it that recent. When employers are looking for someone that does what you do, they want to know what you're doing right now. They're not necessarily interested in what you did 20 years ago. So again, keep it very recent. The other thing I'd recommend doing when it comes to LinkedIn is I would have, like when I was updating my profile or anytime I work with anyone to help them with their profile, I would keep a separate document of like all your different sections of your profile. And then once you have it written how you want it, go in and copy and paste it out of like a Google Doc and put it onto your LinkedIn profile. And if you have to stay, if you're still in that research stage, that's fine, because that research stage is still going to tell you like, what keywords should you be putting in there? What keyword phrases? What are they really looking for? So that when you update your profile, you're showing them that, hey, I can solve these big problems for you, or I can help you solve these problems. Okay, would any of these industries be hiring at the same rate outside of the US post COVID-19? Marlia says, watching from London. I think so. I think we have to, because this is like such a new thing for everyone. If there's an industry that pops up, that you saw, what I would recommend doing is researching those industries in the UK or in London or wherever wherever you're at. Anyone because I know we get a lot of international, or a lot of you are from out of the US, which is where I'm located. So I would definitely recommend just researching what's in your specific area. Let's see. Suzanne says, I want to get out of education. I'm a family worker for a nonprofit special needs school. How would I know where I can fit in from the industries mentioned? So what I would do, Suzanne, is go, and Suzanne, if you're still here, if you want to pop what your personality type is in here, that would be awesome, just so we can kind of see where you're at. I would take a look at some of those recommendations. And the only reason why I'm recommending these personality and the Truity website is because it's to jog your mind. Okay. It's to say, well, what is it it's saying I'm good at? Now that test might not be 100% accurate for you, which it's probably not 100% accurate, but at least it gives you good ideas of what careers you can start focusing on, and then you can start your research. So if you're just saying, oh, I think I could do anything, then you kind of get yourself stuck, because you got to get a little bit more specialized in what is it that I want to do and who can I help. And that also helps you get noticed as well. Oh, Suzanne says, I didn't take the quiz yet. Awesome. You're a good listener, Suzanne. So I did tell you to wait until after we were finished. So awesome. I'm so glad that you said that. So make sure when you do, after you get your results, go to truity.com and put in your put that in, and then you'll get some really good ideas. And with Suzanne, with you being in education, you're probably very similar to me. And you're probably available or open to a lot of different options. So it's going to show you a couple ideas for you. Okay, Andrew, good question from Andrew. How do you network to your new career change field when you don't know anyone in that field? You have to start building new relationships. So think of it in terms of, you're not just going to reach out to Bobby Joe or, Susie, whoever, and say, hey, are you hiring, or can you hire me? Like, you're not going to do that. You're going to start with like relationship building. So it could be just like a quick little message to so-and-so. Let's take Bobby Joe, for example. Let's say you want to be a project manager. Okay. And I'm just throwing these random examples out, and Bobby Joe, you've searched for project managers on LinkedIn in your area, or in a specific industry, whatever that might be. You have like the top 20 people have shown up for you in the LinkedIn results. You go to Bobby Joe, you send a connection request to him, and you say, hey, I noticed that you currently work in the project management field. It's a field that I'm hoping to jump into. Do you have any recommendations for a newbie? Like, you're not reaching out and asking for something like a job. You're just trying to start that relationship. And Andrew, another really good thing for you to try is informational interviews. Those have always worked very well for me. Stephanie, hello, Stephanie. So glad you're here. Stephanie says, what are your recommendations for responding to recruiters who contact you for positions based on your LinkedIn profile, but you feel you do not have the necessary skills for? Should I speak with them or say not interested? Such a good question, Stephanie. So I say, heck yes, speak with them. There's something on your profile that they made them reach out to you. I would definitely talk to them, because listen, you're not going to be 100% qualified for every single position. Okay. You probably had something in there that they really like, and maybe there's a new skill that you'll learn on the job. So I would not turn down an opportunity if it comes up. Now, if you're getting a lot of spam from people, like sometimes that happens, then, if you're like, that's not a job I'd like to do, then, and if you're in an okay situation where you don't have to switch jobs or you don't need to get into a new job, then you could probably pass on that opportunity. But I would never, because you don't have a skill, I would never say turn the opportunity down. I'm a big believer in keeping all options open. Okay, Donna asked a question. My ideal career is lab research. Is this industry in demand too? Donna, I'm not totally sure. What I would do for you, Donna, is I would go to the U.S. Department of Labor, the Occupational Outlook Handbook, and I would type in that title and see what the projected outlook is. Now, again, this is going to be post or pre-pandemic information, but do a little bit of research on that, just using Google. See if there's companies hiring. You'll get a good idea like what you start finding, but I don't know specifically about that career in terms of the outlook, but good question. Okay. Ardina says, I had a job offer recently. The job is based on the company winning a bid for contract work. How often should I ask the manager, what's the status of the bid? Well, it depends. If you're working, you're kind of waiting, or are you working? So this is my question. Are you working in that position right now, and you're wondering, is this position going to end soon because of the contract? I think it's okay to keep touching base with your manager. I mean, you don't want to be, paranoid about it and saying, am I going to lose my job tomorrow? Are you going to still need a demand for me? What I would recommend that you do is keep tabs with the manager. And this is if you're currently working, which I think, because you said you had the offer, I think or maybe you just haven't started yet. I don't know. Either way, yes, I think it's okay to ask, but not, don't be a burden, of course. But also, here's another thing for you to do while you're in that position. Start asking for show your value as an employee, and then ask them, like, start exploring other options within that company. Okay. So you want to make sure that that you are always kind of top of mind for them if something else is popping up or whatever. Good question. Okay, Marissa, do you have any tips to making the job hunt less time consuming? With finding a job that interests us, tailoring your CV, reaching out to HR manager, and writing the cover letter. It's exhausting. Marissa, I totally get it. It is exhausting. What I recommend doing is it in chunks. So if you go back to that 30, 60, 90-day plan that I shared with you, I recommend doing like at least 1 to 2 hours a day if you can, and then taking breaks in between that. So like, let's say, you're going to do 2 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're kind of like taking the time off and rejuvenating yourself, right? Or whatever, however you want to do that. Also coming up with a system. I have a lot of, my students and my clients, they'll develop, like, in fact, I teach this in my program, like a strategy for keeping track of, like, what are they applying for? Who have they reached out to? It's almost like coming up with a system to make it easier for yourself. So I would highly recommend some sort of system in place so that you're not wondering who did I reach out to, and who, and it does take a lot of time. Also, the other thing, Marissa, one more tip that just came to my mind is don't focus on job boards and applying that way. That is exhausting. That's going to take that energy right out of you. And it's so discouraging because you're not going to hear back from people. You're not going to have those little wins that really propel you forward. Okay. Alitha says, I'm a senior in college. Is it too soon to apply for jobs and prepare for internships now in the summer? Heck no. I would say get on that right now. There is never too soon of a time. When I know I've told you guys this story before, but there was a big university in my area, and I'm like, I want to teach for them. I knew that there were other people way more qualified than me applying to teach for them. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to do an informational interview. I'm going to go in. I'm going to ask them, hey, what can I do over this next year? So I was like preparing a year in advance. Like, what could I do over this next year to be qualified to teach with your school? And they hired me there. They hired me right there on the spot. And I was teaching in the classroom at that university a month after that. And if I would have gone through the traditional hiring process, my resume would have never made it to their desk. They would have never selected me for an interview, even if it did, because I didn't have the qualifications or the accomplishments to back up that opportunity. But because I went in and I showed my desire to teach, they were like, okay, we'll hire you. So it's never too soon to start planning. Let's see. Okay. Andrew, I think I'm on your question. Andrew says, how do you network to your new, I answered your question already. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the sea of questions here. Okay. I'll just jump on one. Okay. Ardina says, I had a job offer. Oh, I'm still lost in the sea of questions. Okay, Tal, I'm going to go to yours. How are you, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Says, if I would like to ask someone for a company to help me with connecting to the hiring manager, should I send a connection request or just send a message? I actually, and when you say like message them through LinkedIn, I would do a connection request first. So make sure you're connected with them and do it that way. So that's going to be step one. And then step two would be to send them a message. Good question. And that, like, maybe a week after or 2 weeks after if you haven't yet heard back. Elizabeth, while it may be a bit of a side topic, that's okay. We invite side topics here. What advice can you give to job seekers in addressing an employment gap? If I left a job prior to COVID and struggled to find a position, my gap is now 10 months old. Okay, so employment gaps, it's kind of like a whole nother topic. And I know I have like videos and live streams that we've talked just about employment gaps. When you're addressing an employment gap, one of my favorite ways to do it is kind of talking about it in the cover letter, but then also mentioning, yeah, you might have been out of work for 10 months. What did you do while you're out of work? So you don't want to be like appearing that you did nothing and you were like sitting on your butt watching Netflix all day, right? You want to show that you were doing something, and sometimes you got to dig deep to figure out what that is. Okay. And if you aren't doing anything, start doing something now. So volunteer experience is a really good way to combat that. Also focusing on the way that I teach my students and my clients to write resumes is we have a whole top half of your resume that really focuses on like your problem solving skills. So like how can you help companies solve some of their biggest problems? We also focus on making it accomplishment driven. So and competency based, so that by the time they get to that work experience and they see that there's a little bit of a gap, they're not super concerned because they've seen all this awesome stuff that you've mentioned, right? And again, if you haven't yet considered World Class Career Academy, it's all of that's inside that program. So I show you exactly step by step how to do that. So that's what I'd recommend, Elizabeth, is just kind of focusing on that. But good question. That's a question I get a lot. Andrew, hey, Heather, I have a question for you. How does a college student with a bachelor's degree in psychology and only 17 months of experience land a corporate job? Andrew, you got to start reaching out to your network. And let me tell you, it is not, that's not too uncommon. You should be able to land a corporate job. Okay. Even you said 17 months of experience. That's still experience. Okay. What did you do while you were in school? You can focus on that kind of stuff. Accomplishments, big projects. That's not a far-fetched goal at all. In fact, that should be your goal, and that should be something that is very doable in a short period of time. Carlene, should I put my summary of my 16 personality tests on my CV resume? I'm a newly qualified and competing with people with equals experience. No, you don't need to mention anything about your personality on your resume or your CV. I wouldn't mention anything about that. There's certain things that like you can, as you're doing, you're going into job interviews and applications. Some companies will have you do certain personality tests, but you don't need to mention that at all. I would just use it purely as research and you making sure that you know what direction you're moving in terms of your career. So you guys have had some fantastic questions and comments. Again, I want to make sure you guys are aware of this. If you have not yet registered, this is going to be a full training, how to write a resume that lands you more interviews and better job offers. Make sure you go to professораustin.com/live class. Remember, I only do this live workshop like twice, maybe 3 times. In fact, I don't even think I've done it 3 times within a year. So make sure you get onto that. You're going to just click on the Save My Seat. That's going to save your seat. You'll get notifications right before we go live, and then a couple days just to remind you that we're still here and we're still doing the workshop. Make sure you take a look at that. If you want even more hand-holding, more guidance, more assistance, someone to kind of be your coach and your guide through this entire process, take a look at World Class Career Academy. Again, we start group coaching in June. We are running a special 2-day flash sale where you can jump into that program for $200 off right now. I'll share more about that at our live resume writing class next week as well. But so much fantastic information in the program and at the free virtual event next week. At least at the bare minimum, get registered for that because we will be covering a lot. And I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. We will be in touch again. Hopefully you're registered, and I'll see you next week, and we'll talk soon.